What's up you guys, I'm Dan, this is Frugal Not Cheap, and today we're in the kitchen because we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to teach you how to make sushi at home. So why are we doing sushi? Of course, this is frugal, not cheap. So it's not going to be a cheap dish. Obviously, we're going to be using some high quality ingredients. Don't want anyone to get sick, and well, you want good sushi anyway, right? But it's going to be a heck of a lot cheaper than buying rolls at a real sushi place. This is something that I really like to do, especially as a date idea, just because you can teach them how to roll, and you can kind of have fun, and you can make your own concoctions and put together whatever. Different people have different tastes, and so you can kind of cater to that a little bit. So without further ado, let's get going. Alright, so obviously the first thing that we want to do is make the rice for sushi. So you want to get some sushi rice. It doesn't necessarily have to say sushi rice, just the kind of rice that's good for sushi. And so what that is going to be a grain of about this size, kind of a shorter grain rice. And it is a little bit sticky once you put it all together, but that's because we use sushi seasoning, which is typically going to be some rice vinegar and some sugar as well. But just to make things easy, the other thing that you might want to get is just some straight up sushi seasoning. So that's what we're going to use today. We're going to do 2 cups of uncooked rice, and the ratio is going to be 2 cups of uncooked rice to 5 tablespoons of the sushi seasoning. So I'll show you how that works, but first we've got to wash the rice. So normally with rice, what I'll do is I'll just fill it up with water inside the rice cooker pot itself, and then rinse it out a few times. But the problem is with this particular rice, for some reason it comes out really milky even after like 5-6 washes. So I found that it's a lot easier just to go ahead and use a colander here. There we go. Got our nice clean rice. And the ratio is, so we use 2 cups of uncooked rice, and the ratio for the water for the sushi rice is 1 to 1.5. So that means we're going to put 3 cups of water in here. There we go, 3 cups of water, and it is going to cook fairly quickly, just about 20 minutes or so, I think. I do definitely recommend using a rice cooker. It makes life a whole heck of a lot easier, because you just hit the button and then wait, and then of course it'll pop up and let you know when the rice is done, and also keep it warm. One thing to note, I may forget later to tell you, is that it's not really worth scraping up the rice that's kind of caked on the bottom of the pot here for sushi. You want the rice that has a really nice soft texture. Well, my friend Mike had his birthday yesterday, but we're kind of celebrating that today since he had dinner with his girlfriend yesterday. So that's why I definitely want to try to make this sort of top-notch as possible. And then we've got our sushi seasoning that's going to go at the end. And so you do want to have your tablespoon handy, and then also a bowl. Ideally, you would have some kind of a flat, large, very long or wide something to put the rice in. But it can't be metal, because the problem is that the vinegar and the metal will react and change the flavor. So that's why I'm using a large Pyrex dish. And then of course other things that you'll want are like I use a spatula. You could also use the little rice spoon thing, but spatula works better because we're going to fold the rice later. And yeah, let's move on to what we're going to do for the rolls in terms of the prep. Okay, so that's the rice, and I'm trying to remember, I don't really know how much I paid for that bag. I think it was probably about maybe $25 or so. And it's going to make tons of servings, so I think the amount of rice that we use today is probably going to be at the most $1, even though we kind of paid a lot for this sort of non-GMO kind of fancy sushi rice or whatever. It was the only one I could find at the time at H Mart. So yeah, let's call it like a $1's worth of rice. It's pretty cheap. And then of course we need to have one of these bamboo mats in order to roll. And then of course we need our seaweed, our nori sheets. So sushi nori sheets. These come in packs of 10 or so. It was probably $3 or something like that. and we'll probably make about 5. So probably around $2.50 there in total, you know, with the rice and the seaweed. The real expensive part of making sushi, of course, is when we get all of the fish and whatnot. So we're going to use part of what I spent $86 at the store the other day getting some stuff at H-Mart. But of course we're only going to use small shares of that, right? Some of it is not going to be part of the sushi, like the ice cream and you know, some fruit that I bought and all this. But the parts that are going to be there, I bought this Norway salmon sashimi. So that was $13.49. I've used most of it already. I bought a nice big fillet and I've used most of it. So we've got about a third of the $13.49 that we're going to be using today. In terms of the tuna, we used less of that earlier this week. The tuna was more expensive. It's $16.63, and we're going to be using about a little less than half of that or so. So we're using about $8 of tuna, and we're going to be using about maybe $4.50 worth of salmon, roughly. We're also going to be using about, I don't know, 35 cents worth of cucumber maybe. We're going to use another maybe $1 worth of cream cheese, depending on what we want to do. The pickled ginger was $2.67 for the whole package. We're probably going to use maybe 15 cents worth of that. And then another 15 cents worth of wasabi or so. And then maybe at most $1 of this imitation crab meat. So I'll probably use that with the rest of my cucumber, and I'm going to make a cucumber and crab meat salad because I do like to have a lot of vegetables to go along with this, because this is really just, you know, mostly seafood and rice, right? So that's that. I'll put up the cost here on the screen. We'll do the math at the end as well per roll, but it's going to be a heck of a lot better than we would do at any kind of a restaurant. So pretty excited about that. There is one more thing. We're also going to use some avocado. I'm not sure if we'll use the whole thing, but probably this thing was 89 cents maybe. So we're going to add that to the cost as well. All right, guys, the rice has popped and is ready to go. Careful, of course, because it could be hot. So again, we don't want to mix any vinegar in there because of the metal and it could react. So we're just going to pull some of it out here, and we're going to add our vinegar. So that's 1 tablespoon. We're going to end up adding a total of 5, but I'm just going to kind of layer it in here to make it a little bit more pre-mixed, I guess, as we go along. So a couple of these, another tablespoonful. And again, like I said, the stuff that's kind of stuck here to the bottom is not stuff that we want. So I'm just going to get the stuff that's really loose here. And the rice that still has a very nice soft texture. This stuff here will be a little bit too hard. And the next thing to do is just to fold this over. Now, ideally, you'd have someone else with like a way to fan this in order to cool it down as we fold. So the idea is really just to kind of gently fold the rice over like that, so that what's going to happen is we're going to mix all of that vinegar stuff onto the rice and get that flavor kind of everywhere. And the goal is to have this nice shiny sheen to the rice, which you can kind of already see developing here. But it's really quite neat when it's done. And so I'm just going to go at this for a while. So no need for you to kind of watch me doing that. We'll get back together once I'm done with that and the rice has been nicely folded over and fully seasoned. All right, now we've got our rice all ready and we've got all of our ingredients handy as well. So the next step is to actually start rolling some sushi. We're going to grab our sushi nori sheets, and do be gentle taking them out so that we don't, of course, break them. And we want to use the shiny side up. So there's a duller side and there's a shinier, kind of flatter side, and we're going to put that shiny side up. You want to leave a little bit of room here at the edge, so maybe about an inch or inch and a half or so, and then just try to spread the rice then evenly across a fairly large area, maybe around 4 to 5 inches or so. And what that'll allow us to do, well, the area needs to be wide enough or tall enough in this direction so that it's going to fully wrap around the ingredients. Otherwise you'll have the ingredients kind of on one edge and it won't look quite as good to the eye, it will of course taste really good no matter how much we butcher this. So not to worry, not to worry there. You know, even if your first attempt is, you know, maybe not so awesome, again, don't worry about it. It's going to taste great. It doesn't really matter all that much what it's going to look like. So I think this is probably about far enough. What is that? Sort of, yeah, about this area, my thumb plus that little joint there. And then all we do, tasty, is add the ingredients that we want to. I think what we'll do to begin with is something fairly classic here, is we'll do a tuna and avocado roll. So I have, of course, some sashimi that has already been sliced up. You know, to be real clear, this is not just, you know, regular, I don't know, some cheap tuna. You want to make sure this is sushi grade stuff or sashimi grade stuff. And so there we go, there's our tuna. Now I think, again, we're going to add some avocado. And again, I like to use a really dull knife so that I don't end up hurting myself by accident. So again, the side that has the seed, we're going to leave that on the side for a moment, just because it'll help keep that part of the avocado fresh. And we're going to use this half here. So just get some avocado slices and lay them on top. So the main idea here, of course, is to, well, wrap the fillings with rice around them, and then also with the seaweed. So we're going to be trying to get this kind of in there and tuck it in. So the whole idea is here's the end of it, and we want that on the other side of all of that stuff. Like this. Okay. And then I'm just going to apply even pressure all along from one side to the other. You don't want to squeeze too hard or the avocado will just shoot out both ends, right? Now the next part is you don't want to go too quickly. I've been trying to teach people how to do this, and they tend to go really, really fast. And then one ended up with like a square sushi because they went really way too fast. So take your time. And so what we do is we just, we're going to pull this part just a little bit further, like maybe 3 of these bamboo rods further, and then squeeze again. So what we've done is we've just rolled it a little bit, and then now we're going to be firming everything up again, even gentle pressure. And then do that one more time. So my mother taught me how to do this a long, long time ago. Apologies, Mom, if I am totally butchering the process, but this is what I remember, and it's been working out well for me. So here we go. We have a nice round roll, and we're kind of near the end here. So a lot like a letter, or, well, there are other things that you might have some experience rolling. If you add a little bit of some moisture, this is just a little bit of water here at the end, then it allows you to then tuck that over. And then we'll squeeze again, and that's gonna seal up our sushi roll. And there we are, beautiful sushi roll. It does make it easier if you cut it with oops. We'll just stick that guy back in there, no one saw that. What I was saying is here's the seal, and it does make it easier if you cut it with that seal side down. So we'll be doing that later. I'm gonna just put the rolls over on a plate here for now. And then we'll come back to it and just cut them all. It's easier if you do things kind of assembly line style. You get a little bit muscle memory if you're doing kind of one thing at a time. So next we're going to do probably salmon avocado roll. I think that'll be really yummy. And then we'll start mixing it up from there. But there's really nothing new for me to teach you as I continue to make these different rolls. Like I said, feel free to experiment, have fun with it, and you don't have to be super traditional. Like, we are going to do some cream cheese and tuna probably, and cucumber together. Then we're going to be using this fake crab meat as well too. It's called surimi. So yeah, just have fun. All right, the final thing that we have to do now is to actually, of course, cut up the sushi rolls. So what I like to do is to wet my knife. That way the rice won't stick to it, and it just kind of runs through everything a little bit easier. So we'll begin with the roll. Again, if you have the seam side down, the seam is right here. If you have that down, that's going to make life easier for us. And then, of course, classic knife skills stuff is we don't want our fingers out. I'm going to be using my knuckles as a buffer in order to make sure I don't hurt myself. This is a very, very sharp knife. And then instead of just cutting straight down, that's not going to work. What we're going to do is just do a sawing motion, and we're going to use very light pressure, and it's just going to cleanly cut right through our sushi. There we go, and we'll try to organize this by roll a little bit. Now in terms of the thickness, of course, that's up to you, but I like to do about a thumb's width of thickness. I read somewhere, I don't know if this is true, that the ideal sushi size is just slightly bigger than bite-sized, forcing you to study and sort of contemplate your bite before you eat it. All right, here's the salmon. And of course, some of my favorite pieces are these ones here on the end that have a little bit more than the other ones do. So that's really it. We're just gonna cut up the rest of this sushi. Max is whining because he can smell the yummy food. But yeah, this is the ticket. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed making this video for you. Certainly it's not a cheap meal, but it is a frugal way to enjoy something very nice, which is generally how I like to live my life. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you've made sushi before, or if you end up making some sushi, if you have some fun, let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.